You think they are loyal because they smile in your presence, because they clap when you win, laugh when you speak, stand beside you when the sun is shining. But what happens when the wind shifts, when your fortunes falter, when your power weakens? That is when their true nature reveals itself, not in words, but in silence, in hesitation, in absence. I ask you now, not to flatter your comfort, but to assault your illusion. How many of those closest to you would celebrate your fall in secret? How many stand near only because they are warmed by your fire? And how many would vanish the moment that fire dims? Every prince is surrounded by flatterers, by opportunists, by smiling knives dressed in courtesy. You too are a prince in your domain, your life, your circle, your path, and you too are at risk. Betrayal does not arrive with warning. It waits, it observes, it adapts to your trust. It uses your kindness as cover and your openness as an entry wound. You will not be warned, you will be wounded, unless you learn to test loyalty before it is too late. You clicked this video because you've already been betrayed, maybe by a friend, a woman, a colleague, maybe by a brother who said all the right things but vanished when it mattered most. I do not offer you comfort. I offer you clarity. I offer you 5 cold laws. Laws I have lived, written, and witnessed in the palaces and prisons of power. These laws will show you how to test loyalty like a sovereign, how to expose traitors without a single confrontation, how to filter truth from deception without saying a word. You do not need a sword, you need a method. If you've ever been blindsided by someone you trusted, if you've ever looked into the eyes of a friend and seen a stranger after the damage was done, then type "never again" in the comments. That is your first test of your own resolve. Now let me teach you the 5 that will save your kingdom. Appearances are a mask. Loyalty, too, wears one. The man who kneels before you may be waiting to strike. The one who toasts to your health may drink to your downfall in the next room. You trust by what you see, but what you see is crafted. It is rehearsed. It is a theater performed for your approval, and the audience is always you. This is why the first law is merciless. Never trust what appears. Test what is hidden. Everyone sees what you appear to be, I wrote. Few experience what you really are. And I tell you now, the same is true in reverse. You see what they want you to see. A smile, a compliment, a loyal gesture performed when eyes are watching. But true loyalty hides in what is not performed. It lives in what cannot be faked. And that is why you must create tests. Deliberate, invisible, irreversible. You do not ask someone if they are loyal. That question alone tips your hand. You watch. You design moments of pressure, of choice, of imbalance. You give selectively, then withdraw. You elevate them, then observe what grows in their heart. Envy or gratitude, arrogance or silence. You offer them the appearance of your need, not the reality of it. You pretend to misplace something and watch if it returns. You mention an opportunity and monitor who seeks to claim it behind your back. These are not tricks. They are filters. Truth is found in their response, not their intentions. The loyal man adjusts to your reality. He respects what you don't say, stands firm in your absence, honors you when there is no reward for doing so. The traitor conforms only to your image. He serves your status, not your soul. He mimics loyalty only when others are watching. In the dark, he reshapes himself. You must become a sculptor of perception. Present one version of yourself to the world, then observe who attempts to manipulate that version, who flatters the image while ignoring the man, who celebrates you publicly but forgets you in silence. The disloyal reveal themselves not by action but by contradiction. The moment your appearance shifts, their behavior shifts with it. This is the first and cruelest cut. The friend who loves your mask but not your face. Cut him early, test him first, and never mistake performance for principle again. If you wish to know a man, do not study his words in times of calm. Watch his behavior when fortune turns her face. As I wrote in The Prince, it is not the smooth seas that reveal the quality of a captain. It is the storm. So it is with loyalty. True allegiance is not proven when you are winning, when wealth flows and status shines. It is revealed when you lose, when the ground trembles, when your name is doubted, when your power slips. Let fortune shake the tree. Watch who holds on and who lets go. You must understand, comfort conceals intentions. In good times, even the bitterest traitor can mimic brotherhood. They stand beside you not because they admire you, but because they benefit. They feed off your victories. They bathe in your glow. But fortune is not static. Sooner or later it turns, and when it does, the parasites scatter. Only the loyal remain. This is why you must provoke fortune yourself. Do not wait for chaos, engineer it, simulate failure, disappear briefly, speak of setbacks, introduce scarcity, withhold approval. The men who shift, who drift, who hesitate, they were never yours. But the man who stands silently at your side when there is no applause, no advantage, no audience, that man is not pretending, he is proving. And do not mistake jealousy for loyalty. The one who is silent during your rise may not be in awe, he may be in mourning. Watch their eyes when you speak of victory. Watch their silence when you mention success. Real loyalty celebrates you without competing. False loyalty waits for your collapse and calls it justice. This law is surgical. Create discomfort. Observe response. Record allegiance. Most will fail. Let them. You need not confront them. You need only watch what they do when there is no reason to stay. When your fortune fades, their loyalty, or lack of it, will come into view like blood on fresh snow. So test them, shake the tree, let fortune do what your words cannot, and then, when the branches clear, you will see exactly who was feeding on your fruit and who was willing to starve by your side. There is no clearer mirror of loyalty than necessity. In times of abundance, everyone plays the part. When you offer access, comfort, protection, men gather, they smile, they obey. But it is not out of honor, it is appetite. The moment you remove the reward, the moment you cease to serve their interest, you see their true face. This is the law of necessita. When loyalty must exist without benefit, it reveals its purity, or its rot. Machiavelli taught that a prince must reduce dependence to a weapon. When others rely on him, he holds power. But the prince must never allow himself to rely on others blindly. Instead, he must test them through necessity, so you, too, must strip away the incentives, create scarcity, pull back attention, close the gates of access, and then observe who still stands beside you when there is nothing left to take. Begin simply, become scarce. Remove your presence without warning. Do not text, do not explain, do not give. See who reaches for you, see who notices. The loyal will feel the silence and answer it with patience. The disloyal will panic, fill the space with gossip, with accusations, or worse. They will replace you without hesitation. Then remove assistance. When they fall short, do not lift them immediately. Let them flail. Watch who resents your restraint. Watch who respects your limits. The opportunist sees your help as a duty. The loyalist sees it as a privilege. This distinction is fatal to power. Get it wrong, and you will feed your enemies while starving your allies. You must also strip away flattery, withhold compliments, withhold validation. A man who turns cold when unpraised is a man whose warmth was never for you. It was for the sound of his own name in your mouth. In the end, necessity will expose them. When your time, energy, and attention are no longer free, who adapts and who abandons? Who respects your distance and who collapses into entitlement? Create scarcity, withdraw comfort, offer nothing, and measure everything. What remains is loyalty, what leaves is weakness disguised as friendship, and what resents your distance was never meant to survive your ascent. Words are the refuge of the disloyal. The traitor explains, flatters, overpromises, because he fears silence. Silence is a space he cannot control, a judgment he cannot interrupt. But the loyal man, he remains steady in the void. He does not panic when the applause stops. He does not flee when your voice goes quiet. And this is why silence is not just absence. It is a scalpel. It is a blade so sharp it draws no blood, but it cuts cleanly through illusion. Strategic silence is how the ruler sees who speaks when they shouldn't, who reveals what you never asked, who defends themselves before accusation. In silence, fear breeds noise, and fear is the traitor's shadow. When you fall quiet, you are no longer a provider of comfort, you become a mirror. And what they see reflected either shames them or solidifies them. Machiavelli would never have wasted breath where silence could sow uncertainty. He understood that the prince gains more from withdrawal than from confrontation. Why announce distrust when you can simply step back and watch? The guilty always respond before they are named. The dishonest always seek clarity where none was promised. The weak will fill your silence with excuses. The strong will fill it with loyalty. Try this. Withdraw without warning. Stop explaining. Cancel plans without reason. Offer no reaction. You do not disappear out of spite. You vanish out of calculation. Let the silence deepen, then study the reactions. Who reaches out with patience? Who grows passive-aggressive? Who begins to undermine you in small, almost imperceptible ways? Who gossips to others because you have not answered them? The loyal man needs no constant reassurance. His belief in you survives absence. He does not take your silence as an attack. He interprets it as space, and he honors that space. The disloyal man sees your silence as weakness, as opportunity, or as personal insult. He will begin to erode the image of you to others, hoping to reclaim control. Silence is a cold room. The loyal sit quietly inside it. The disloyal scratch at the walls. Let them. Watch who stays still. Watch who screams. In that stillness, you will see what words always tried to hide. You want to know who is real? Say nothing. Say it for days, and you will hear everything. Power attracts parasites. As long as you are rising, glowing, commanding attention, there will be those who orbit your success with smiles and shallow declarations of loyalty. But these are not allies. They are opportunists dressed as companions, and the only way to identify them, truly identify them, is to fall, or at least pretend to. This is one of the cruelest and most necessary Machiavellian tests. Simulate weakness. Fake a fall. Watch who abandons you when they think you can no longer serve their ambition. Machiavelli observed that the true measure of a man is found in how he behaves when power disappears. As long as you are useful, the crowd will clap. But announce that you've lost something, money, status, favor, and the applause will stop. Not slowly, instantly. The same men who toasted your name will now avoid it. This is not failure. This is revelation, and if you are wise, you will stage it before it ever happens on its own. You do not need to lose anything real. You only need to craft the illusion. Speak of a lost opportunity, a failed plan, a diminishing influence. Watch their tone. Watch their posture. Do they lean in with loyalty or lean back in doubt? Do they ask how to help, or do they ask who else knows? Do they shrink their praise in private while pretending to stand firm in public? Now take it further. Pretend to need nothing. Act as though you are no longer valuable. Offer no attention, no benefit. Become ordinary for a moment. The opportunist cannot bear proximity to the powerless. He needs your status more than your friendship, and the moment you appear useless, he will drift, first in spirit, then in body. But the loyal man, he stays. His presence is not built on your rank. It is built on shared hardship, on quiet respect, on a deeper allegiance that does not dissolve when the illusion fades. You cannot buy this loyalty. You cannot demand it. You must test for it, simulate the storm, create the fall, and when the smoke clears, take a long look around. The ones who remain are your army. The rest were always mercenaries, just waiting for a higher bidder. The greatest betrayals are not loud. They do not arrive with a blade to your back or a declaration of war. They whisper, they nod. They linger close enough to smell your victories, but never close enough to protect your losses. And the tragedy is this: they always showed you who they were. You just refused to see it. This chapter is your reckoning. I will give you the signs, the tells, the shadows they leave behind before the knife is drawn. First, envy. Envy disguised as admiration is the most dangerous fuel in any relationship. Watch closely. Does he celebrate your wins with calm pride, or does he exaggerate his own in response? Does she smile when you rise, or does she change the subject? True loyalty does not flinch at your success. The betrayer does. Even if it's slight, even if it's masked, the resentment leaks through. A joke that cuts too deep, a compliment laced with doubt, a silence when everyone else applauds. Second, delayed presence. The one who is always slightly late, who forgets the event, who replies only when it benefits them. Betrayers are not absent. They're conveniently available. They orbit your light, just long enough to be seen beside it, but never long enough to guard it when it dims. Track their timing. When do they show up, and when do they vanish? The loyal are consistent. The false are seasonal. Third, passive sabotage. They never attack you directly. That would be too obvious, too risky. Instead, they forget your deadlines. They mishear your instructions. They accidentally exclude you from conversations. They offer backhanded support, just enough to avoid suspicion, never enough to lift you. Machiavelli knew such men well, cowards in the court, polite in the open, poisonous in the shadows. Fourth, imitation. Watch who copies you, not to learn but to compete. Your phrases, your style, your ideas. They mimic it, hoping to blur the line between your strength and their emptiness. The loyal man admires and evolves. The traitor imitates to steal your reflection and weaken your distinction. This is not flattery. This is theft, and it always precedes betrayal. Fifth, the empty silence. Not all silence is strategic. Some is cowardice. Some is withheld support. When the room questions your name, who defends you? When your absence is discussed, who speaks up? The disloyal remain quiet when your name needs protection. They are always absent from the battles you didn't know were being fought. Now you understand. You were never blind. You were untrained. You looked for daggers. They used dust. You waited for betrayal in noise. They moved in silence. But now the veil is lifted. Now you can see. Not because they have changed, but because you finally understand the language of traitors. You do not find loyal men. You forge them. You do not stumble upon loyalty. You summon it through fire, through hardship, through deliberate elimination of the false. Machiavelli understood this truth. A prince must not only rule, but refine. He must separate those who admire his power from those who protect it. In your life, your circle must not be built by accident. It must be built like a fortress, stone by stone, test by test, betrayal by removal. The first step is this. Make the circle smaller. Shrink access. Scarcity is the crucible where loyalty is formed. The more people you let near you, the more diluted your power becomes. Weak men dilute loyalty with numbers. Strong men consolidate it with precision. If 10 flatter you, test all 10. If 3 remain after silence, after scarcity, after simulated loss, you have your core. Next, introduce shared hardship. True loyalty is forged under weight. Take your chosen few through discomfort, not to punish them, but to prove them. Build something hard together. Withhold reward. Delay credit. Let fatigue surface their character. The one who still shows up when there is no benefit, no recognition, no applause. He is not an opportunist. He is a brother. Then, establish hierarchy. Equality among men sounds virtuous, but it creates chaos. Loyalty thrives in structure. Make your expectations clear. Set standards. Be ruthless with disloyalty, but generous with those who uphold the frame. Power must flow from clarity, not confusion. The man who knows where he stands is less likely to scheme behind your back. You must also rotate tests. Loyalty is not a one-time confession. It is a pattern. Today he is faithful. Tomorrow he is tempted. Never stop observing. Loyalty does not mean blind trust. It means earned trust, verified continually. Trust, but with a sword behind your back and your eyes open. Finally, reward silence. The most loyal men speak least. They do not parade your secrets. They do not amplify your weakness. They do not seek attention for their service. These men are rare. When you find them, elevate them. Let them stand closest to your throne. Not the loud, not the charming, not the constant. The quiet and proven, the tested and unshaken. And remember this, the man who is loyal to you only in public is loyal to your image, not your soul. Keep him far, the one who shields your name in private. He is the sword you sleep beside. You have trusted men who did not deserve it. You have suffered because you assumed loyalty where only convenience lived. That was not weakness. It was unawareness. But now you see. Now you hold the 5 cold laws that Machiavelli himself would use to reveal the impostors in his court, the whisperers in his ranks, the traitors in his circle. These are not suggestions. They are weapons. Use them. Filter their loyalty with appearance, shake their truth with fortune, withhold reward and see who remains. Fall silent and let them speak. Simulate weakness and measure who flees. You will lose many. Let them go. Power is not preserved through company. It is preserved through clarity. You are no longer a man who waits for betrayal to happen. You are a man who sets the test first. That is the difference between being surprised and being sovereign. Set the trap before they set you up. Now comment loyalty filter below, not to be seen, but to remind yourself that from this moment on, no one stands beside you untested.